how to make her orgasm every single time. All right, in this video, I am going to be talking about how to help your woman have an orgasm every time. Now, most men, caring men who care about their partners, actually want their woman to have an orgasm. There, of course, is a stereotype that comes from a long time ago where, men are just not concerned at all and they just want to, do their thing, have their ejaculation, and they don't really care what happens on her end. That is largely not the case anymore. There are always outliers. I'm sure there are a few men that are like that here and there. However, most men genuinely want their woman to enjoy sex and genuinely want her to have an orgasm. In fact, many men will consider it that they're not that good at sex if their woman can't have an orgasm. That's not necessarily true because there could be some things on her end that are preventing her from having an orgasm. But the idea here is that most men really do want to give their women an orgasm. And so this video is going to help you. But before we get into it, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Doing so greatly helps the channel. By the time this video airs, I should be at 100,000 subscribers. Thank you everybody who has subscribed to this channel. And that is really just the beginning. It's a milestone, but I would love to grow this channel even more. So if you are not subscribed, please do so. Like these videos, share them with your friends. It really helps the success of the channel and helps me get this information to more people who need it. Hey everybody, I am Kevin Anthony. I am a certified sexologist, Tantra Counselor, NLP Practitioner, and sex, love, and relationship coach. For over a decade, I have been helping men, women, and couples have the relationship of their dreams and the best sex of their lives. All right, let's dive into it. There are a few things, to be exact, that I need to say before we get into the how part, right? Number one, orgasms are not something you bestow upon your woman. It's not like I'm going to dole out the orgasms to you whenever I feel like it. No, it doesn't work like that. Really, you help facilitate orgasms. So it's not something you're necessarily giving to her. It's something that you are helping, you're creating the right conditions for her to be able to have an orgasm or potentially multiple orgasms. So that is an important point to keep in mind. And number two, it's really not possible to ensure that every single time you have sex or some sort of sexual activity that she's going to have an orgasm. I know the title of the video says how to make her orgasm every time. But the reality is that's really just not possible. There are a million things that can get in the way of having an orgasm for a woman, many of which are out of your control. So again, it's not something you bestow. You can't will it upon her. There are going to be times when her mind's not in it, her body's not in it, whatever it is, and you can't really control that. However, I am going to give you a list of things that you can do that will significantly increase the chances that she will have an orgasm the majority of the time, if not almost every time. Okay, number one, you need to cultivate a deep trust and love in the relationship. For a woman to really have those deep, powerful orgasms, or even any orgasm for that matter, she needs to really relax, let go, and open up. The only way that she can do that is if she trusts you. And of course, she might not love you, but she can trust you, right? And she will open up to some extent. But if she also has a deep connection, if her heart is in it, this is going to significantly increase the chances that she has an orgasm. Women's hearts and their pussies are linked for sure, 100%. I think most people probably get that by now. So if she trusts you deeply and her heart is connected to you, there is a very good chance that she will have an orgasm. All right, number two is to make sure that you do enough foreplay to really get her warmed up, especially for men, because unless you've really mastered your ejaculation and you've learned how to really last long, she could potentially take significantly longer to get to an orgasm than you'll be able to last. I've talked about this many times on this channel, and more times than I can count on the podcast, about the studies that I've done that show the average man in one study said he lasted 2 to 5 minutes, in the other study 5 to 7 minutes. In any case, less than 10 minutes. And the studies showed that it took the average woman 20 to 30 to even 40 minutes to achieve orgasm. So big disparity there in the length of time. But one of the things that you can do to speed that up is to really make sure that you take the time to do the foreplay, right? So if you just do just enough foreplay to be able to, get her just lubricated and just open enough to get your penis in there, she's not even started yet. She's not even warmed up, right? And so it's going to take a lot more penetration and lovemaking, which you may or may not be able to last for. And then, of course, you'll ejaculate. You'll be done at least for a while until your refractory period is over and she's going, I didn't orgasm again, right? So one of the things you can do is foreplay. Really get her really warmed up. Get her really turned on. Get her like begging for you to penetrate her. That's going to help a lot. Okay, number 3 is to take your time. Now, obviously in number 2, I was talking about how you want to get her really warmed up. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, take your time with the entire process from beginning all the way to the end. There's a thing sometimes that men do where they try to sort of push their woman towards an orgasm. Like, come on, baby, I want you to come for me. Like, come on. The more pressure you put on her to have an orgasm, the less likely she is to have one. So what you really want to do is tell her there's no pressure. It doesn't matter if you orgasm or not. It's okay. Take your time. Just relax. That allows her to relax. It allows her to get out of her head. Now she's not thinking about, oh, I got to make this happen because he really wants it to, or because I really want it to, that's probably already going on in her head. So this is helping her relax and let go and be more open. And then there's a much greater chance that she'll have an orgasm. Okay, these next 3 I'm going to talk about, 4, 5, and 6, are all related in a sense that they did a study back in 2017 about, what women needed. They basically just surveyed a whole bunch of women, what they needed in order to really have an orgasm. And they said these 3 things. So the first one is clitoral stimulation. There's been a bunch of studies done on this one too. I don't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but the studies basically showed that a lot of women can't orgasm without direct clitoral stimulation. So just make sure that you include clitoral stimulation in the lovemaking process, both in the foreplay and potentially during the penetration. That is something that really works for most women. It's kind of like, obviously there's different types of orgasms. There's clitoral orgasms and G-spot orgasms and cervical orgasms. But the clitoral one is generally the easiest for most women to access, and it can be extremely stimulating. So it can get them there pretty quickly. The other types of orgasms can be deeper and show up in different ways, and they're all amazing also. But focusing at least a little bit on the clitoral stimulation can really help get her there and potentially lead her towards those other types of orgasms also. All right, number 5, which is the second thing that women said they also needed in combination with the clitoral stimulation, was oral sex. Oral sex for most women really, really, really gets them either to the orgasm from the oral sex or gets them so close that penetration will take them over the top. It's somewhat rare that a woman doesn't climax if you give them enough time during oral sex, but it is possible. There are some women that are in that space. So I'm not saying that giving oral sex is 100% the thing that's going to do it, but keep in mind this is in combination with clitoral stimulation, oral sex, and then of course the next one on the list. And that is number 6, which is to kiss her deeply. So I said just a little while ago that there were 3 things that women said they needed in order to achieve an orgasm. It was clitoral stimulation, oral sex, and kissing. I have definitely noticed in my relationships over the years that if you really kiss a woman deeply and passionately during lovemaking, it does something to her, something that I can't even really describe, but there's something about kissing while penetrating that really, really, really turns them on and opens them up. Now, if we were talking from a tantric perspective, we would have a way of explaining that, because we would say that that completes an energy circuit that's running between the two of you. So that's one possible explanation. But regardless of whether or not you understand the real reason why, whether it's completing an energy circuit or there's something else going on, women have stated that this is one of the things that really helps them get to that orgasm. And it's something that honestly I have absolutely personally experienced in my own life, where, you can be having amazing lovemaking and it's really, she's really into it, right? And, the penetration's going great. And then you reach in and you just give her this deep, passionate kiss, and like her whole body shifts in that moment. Sometimes that's even enough to trigger an orgasm right then and there. So make sure that you are including all 3 of those things. Okay, number 7. This video obviously is about, making sure that she has an orgasm every time. Remember that every woman is a little bit different, and so it's important to know what your woman likes. If you want to have a really high rate of success in giving her orgasms, then you need to know what she likes. And it is often different for different women. So, have really open conversations, preferably before you have sex. I mean, sometimes you can be like, you can do something during sex and then ask, are you liking this? You can also, use like visual acuity and other ways to tell if she's liking it. But the best thing to do is have fun conversations about this stuff. I think this is great. Like after dinner, you're sitting on the couch and then you just have a conversation about like, what do you really like? Like, what really turns you on? Like, if I did this to you, would you really like it? Or describe to me what your most amazing lovemaking session would be like, right? And really listen to what she says. Most women know what works for them. And if she doesn't know what works for her, then turn that into a game also and be like, hey, okay, if you're not sure, let's try stuff and then tell me what you really liked, right? So find out what type of foreplay she likes. Find out, does she like dirty talk? What kind of kissing does she like? What are her favorite positions? Does she like faster or slower? Now, mind you, some of those things are going to vary, from session to session and even moment to moment within a session. But you can get a pretty good idea of what she likes. Like, what is her go-to? What is the thing that she, let's say if she was masturbating, what would she do to herself that she knows will generally get her there? And if you know those things, you can apply them and incorporate them into all of the other things that I have been talking about in this video. And again, doing all of those really, really, really will increase the chances that she'll have an orgasm. All right, and the very last one at number 8, I kind of talked about this a little bit already, but you need to learn how to last long enough. I don't know really how else to say it. I talk about it all the time, but, because of that disparity I talked about earlier about how long it takes a woman to really get revved up and turned on and lubricated and close to that orgasm, you as a man have to be able to last that long. Now, if the goal is straight up orgasm, you can potentially give her one using your hands. You can potentially give her one through oral sex, and that's great too. And women love those. There's nothing wrong with those. But a woman really does also love to have a powerful orgasm while she's being penetrated. And the only way you can do that is if you can last long enough. And remember that the higher her energy gets as she gets closer to orgasm, the more intense that feeling's going to be for you as a man. And that's going to be harder and harder for you to withstand, right? And she's going to get really close. And you see this all the time. It happens a lot. She's like getting really built up and she's getting closer. And then you're feeling that energy and it's like you just stuck your penis in an electrical socket and then boom, you ejaculate, but she didn't quite get there. That is very disappointing for most women. Often men will make it up by doing something else, but it's not quite the same for her. So you need to learn how to master your ejaculation such that no matter how high that energy builds or how strong it gets, you can hang in there long enough to take her past through those waves of orgasmic bliss and onto the other side. It's just a key critical skill. If you want to know how to do that, please go to powerandmastery.com. Those are my men's sexual mastery courses. There is, of course, a course called Master Your Ejaculation, which can teach you how to do this. And if you buy the whole package, the sexual mastery package, you will get so much more. I mean, if you go through that whole program and really apply what's in there, women will look at you like you are the greatest sexual god ever. All right, so there you go. That is how to make a woman orgasm every single time, or at least as close as you can get to it. I hope you found that useful. And as always, if you want more, please go check out my website at kevinanthonycoaching.com/link in bio. That is basically a link tree that has links to all the things that I am doing, my coaching programs, my podcast, great products to help you with your sex life and your relationship, and so much more. It's all right there.